In this lecture, we are mainly discussing about classification of biogas plants, gasification, and classification of gasifiers. Before that, we want to know what is biogas and how it is generated. Generally, biogas, a mixture containing 55 to 65% methane, 30 to 40% carbon dioxide, and the rest being the impurities like hydrogen, hydrogen sulfide, and some nitrogen. Biogas can be produced from the decomposition of animal, plant, and human waste. It is a clean but slow burning gas and has a calorific value between 5000 to 5500 kilocalories per kilogram. It can be used directly in cooking, reducing the demand for firewood. Moreover, the material from which the biogas is produced retains its value as a fertilizer and can be returned to the soil. Biogas has been popular on the name gobar gas, mainly because cow dung has been the material for its production. It is not only the excreta of the cattle, but also the piggery waste as well as the poultry droppings are very effectively used for biogas generation. A few other materials through which biogas can be generated are algae, crop residues, that is agro waste, then garbage kitchen waste, paper waste, seawood, human waste, waste from sugarcane refinery, wastewater, etc. That is, any cellulosic organic material of animal or plant origin is which is easily biodegradable is a potential raw material for biogas production. Biogas can be produced by a number of ways, which we already discussed. Some of the methods are digestion, pyrolysis, or hydrogasification. In this, digestion is a biological process that occurs in the absence of oxygen and in the presence of anaerobic organisms at ambient pressures and temperatures of 35 to 70 degrees Celsius. The container in which this digestion takes place is known as the digester. Then we can discuss what is a biogas plant. A biogas plant is where the biogas is produced by fermenting biomass. Also, the biogas plants converts the biomass into biogas by the process of anaerobic fermentation. The bacteria called anaerobe carries out digestion of biomass without oxygen and produces methane and carbon dioxide. Biogas plants are very popular in India, particularly in rural areas. The raw materials used in biogas plants are animal waste, human waste, agricultural waste, industrial waste, etc. Then the main components of biogas plant are digester, gas holder, inlet and outlet pipe, slurry mixing tank, gas outlet pipe, and the stirrer. Then we can classify the biogas plant into two main categories by the mode of working and the plant design. By mode of working, it can be classified into continuous type biogas plant and batch type biogas plant. Then by the plant design, we can also classify the biogas plant into two. They are floating drum type biogas plant, fixed dome type biogas plant. In this continuous type biogas plant, that is the biogas plant, in the biogas plant, the supply of the gas is continuous and the digester is fed with the biomass regularly. They are also classified by two: single stage type, two stage type. In this single stage type continuous type biogas plant is the entire process of conversion of biomass into biogas are carried in single chamber or digester. This chamber is regularly fed with the raw waste while the spent residue keeps moving out. The main advantages of this type of biogas plant are simple in construction. It does not need skilled labor. It is easy to operate and control. These are preferred for small and medium-sized biogas plants. The next type is two-stage continuous type biogas plant. In this type, two digesters for digestion of biomass is needed. In the first digester, the biomass is fed in which the acid formation is carried out, and then only dilute acids are fed into the second digester where biomethanation takes place and biogas can be collected from the second digester. The advantages of this type of biogas plants are it produces more gas than single stage plants. It requires lesser period of digestion as compared to single stage plants. These plants are preferred for large size biogas plants. Then the advantages of continuous type biogas plants are continuous gas production are there, less retention period, small digestion chambers required, less problems as compared to batch type plants. Then we can discuss what is batch type biogas plants. What is batch type biogas plants? In batch type biogas plant, the biomass feeding is done in batches with a large time interval between two consecutive batches. A batch loaded a batch loaded digester is filled to its capacity and given sufficient retention time, that is 35 to 45 days for digestion of biomass. After the completion of digestion, the residue is emptied and filled again. Gas production is uneven due to slow start of bacterial digestion, and to overcome this difficulty, several digesters are used which are fed and emptied in sequential manner. Thus, the regular supply of gas is maintained. The salient features of batch type biogas plants are gas production is uneven. Then, to get the continuous supply of gas, several digesters are required. Several digesters occupy more space. High initial cost due to large volume of digester. It needs additional of fermentation slurry to start the digestion process. Then it has operational and maintenance problems. Then by the plant design, we can classify the biogas plants into floating drum type and the fixed dome type. In floating drum type biogas plants, the gas holder is separate from the digester. Gadi and Village Industries Commission standardized the model. It consists of an underground cylindrical machinery digester having an inlet pipe for feeding animal dung slurry and an outlet pipe for sludge. There is a steel dome for gas collection which floats up and down according to the quantity of gas accumulation. The drum may be of steel, ferrocement, HDPE or fiberglass. The pressure of the gas in the floating drum type biogas plants is always constant, which is equivalent to weight of the gas holder over unit area. It can be increased also by putting additional weight on the gas holder. The sides of the gas holder remains in the slurry to seal the leakage of gas to the atmosphere. The cost of this plant is more as the cost of the gas holder itself is high. Besides, requires regular check and maintenance. The KVIC plant is of steel drum type or floating gas holder design in which the digestion takes place in a machinery well and the drum floats as the gas collects and is taken out from the top. The design was first developed and perfected in India in the year of 1954. This was taken up for propagation in the villages in the year 1962 by the Gadi and Village Industries Commission, Bombay. Therefore, it is known as KVIC design. In KVIC plant, the gas is stored in a mild steam drum of 30 to 40% of plant size at a pressure of 100 mm of water column is built in the floating gas holder, which is sufficiently to supply gas up to 100 meters. The drum in the KVIZ model is the costliest component and its life is comparatively less, about 10 years. The advantages of this type of plants are gas pressure is constant, then less chem problem, no danger of explosion since there is no possibility of mixing of biogas and external air, no gas leakage problem. Then it has some advantages too. They are high cost, high maintenance cost. There is loss of heat through gas holder. The outlet pipe, which should be flexible, requires regular attention. Then the next type is fixed dome type. The example for fixed dome type biogas plants are Janata biogas plant and Deen Bandhu biogas plant. The Janata model biogas plant was first developed by the Planning, Research and Action Division, Lucknow, in 1978. It is an improved version of Chinese fixed dome biogas plant. The plant consists of foundation, digester, dome, inlet chamber and outlet chamber, mixing tank and the gas outlet pipe. The foundation is the amply compacted base of the digester made up of cement, concrete and bricks. Its construction is so carried out that it may provide a stable foundation to the digester walls and bear full load of slurry filled in the digester. It should be waterproof so that no percolation or water leakage take place. Then the digester is cylindrical in shape, constructed with bricks and cement. It holds the dung slurry for a retention time so that the biogas is produced from the slurry in the digester. It should be noted that the diameter and the height ratio of the digester is kept 1:75:1. It is sometimes also called the fermentation tank. Two rectangular openings facing each other are provided for inflow and outflow at most middle of its height. The gas is stored in gas portion, which is an integral part of plant between dome and digester, where the usable gas is stored. The height of the gas portion is above the inlet and outlet openings to beginning of dome and is equal to maximum volume of the gas to be stored, that is 30 to 40% of the plant, and equal to volume of slurry to be displaced at inlet and outlet. The dome, it is a hemisphere roof of the digester, has a fixed height and forms the critical part in the construction of Janata Gobar gas plant. The gas gets collected in the space of the dome and exerts pressure on the slurry in the digester. The inlet and the outlet portions are constructed for putting the fresh slurry inside and the plant and to take the digester slurry out. The inlet and outlet are of larger sizes, providing on each side of the digester, facing each other. The discharge of slurry out of the plant is due to pressure of the gas in the plant. Over the inlet portion, an inlet mixing tank is also constructed to mix the dung and water. The dung and water mixed properly in the ratio of 1:1 to make the slurry, which is then poured into the inlet chamber. The gas outlet pipe is a small piece of GI pipe which is fitted at the top of the dome for conveying the gas to the points of use. A valve is fitted at its end to regulate the flow of gas to the gas connections. The working of this plant is the cattle dung and water are mixed properly in the ratio 1:1 to form slurry, which is then filled in the digester up to the height of its cylindrical portion. As soon as the fermentation of dung picks up, the generated gas starts accumulating in the dome. This gas exerts pressure on the slurry and displaces it into the inlet and outlet chambers. Consequently, the slurry level in the digester falls and rises in the outlet chamber. This fall in the level of slurry continues till the slurry level reaches the upper ends of the inlet and outlet gates. After this, any further accumulation of gas would exert pressure and start escaping through these gates into the atmosphere. The, the quantity of usable gas can be determined by calculating the increase in slurry volume in the inlet and outlet chambers. In the event of using gas, the slurry level in the digester rises while that in the inlet and outlet comes down. During the process, approximately equivalent quantity of digester slurry is discharged from the outlet chamber through the outlet opening. The things to be noted while selecting the site for Janata model biogas plants are: the surface should be plain or even and be at a higher elevation. The site should be as far as possible near the cattle shed and the points of gas utilization. It should be at least 2 meters away from the foundation of the house or the building. The sunlight should be available during the whole of the day round the year. The site should be at least 10 to 15 meters away from any water drinking source. There should not be any big tree near the plant whose roots may cause any harm with the passage of time. There should be an easy availability of water near the plant. To avoid carrying the spent slurry to a very far distance, there should be some space for making compost pit. The earth should have adequate bearing stress to avoid any possibility of caving in or collapse of the plant. The advantages of this type of plants are no maintenance problems due to absence of moving parts, low cost, low operating cost, longer working life. Due to underground construction, heat insulation is better and therefore the rate of gas production is uniform during day and night. Quantity of gas produced is higher than movable drum type plants. No corrosion problem. Space above the plant can be used for other purposes. The disadvantages of this type of plants are variable gas pressure. Gas production per centimeter cube of the digester volume is less. Problem of scum formation. For construction work, skilled masons are required. The another type of fixed dome type biogas plants are Deenbandhu biogas plant. This is also a fixed dome plant developed by the Action for Food Production, New Delhi in 1984. It is a low-cost biogas plant. It is appropriate for all types of waste and minimize biogas losses from inlet chamber. The principle of working of this plant is same as that of Janata model except configuration of inlet, entrance and digester. It has curved bottom and hemispherical top which are joined at their bases with no cylindrical portion in between. An inlet pipe connects mixing tank with the digester. The working of this type of plants: cattle dung slurry prepared in 1:1 ratio with water is fed up to the level of second step in the outlet chamber. As the gas generates and accumulates in the empty portion of the plant, it presses the slurry of the digester and displaces it into the outlet displacement chamber. The slurry level in the digester falls, whereas in the outlet chamber it starts rising. This fall and rise continues till the level in the digester reaches the upper end of the outlet opening, and at this stage the slurry level in the outer tank reaches the height of the discharge opening. The advantages of this type of plants are: this plant requires less space being mainly underground. Its cost is reduced as the surface area is minimized by joining segments of two different diameter spheres at their bases. It is 30% economical as compared to Janata biogas plant. Some other biogas plant designs in our country are Khadi and Village Industries Commission design, Planning, Research and Action Division design, that is a modification of Chinese design, Application of Science and Technology to Rural Areas design, Murugappa Chettiar Research Center design, Tamil Nadu Agricultural University tomb type design, Himachal Pradesh capsule design, Kuchipukka model of Punjab Agricultural University, Ludhiana, and Action of Food Production design, plug flow design, Roorkee design, mobile biogas plants, and Ganesh model. The methods to obtain energy from biomass are combustion, anaerobic digestion, pyrolysis, hydrolysis and ethanol fermentation, then by gasification. The gasification is a promising conversion technology. It appears to be economically competitive with the natural gas using biomass waste. Gasification implies converting a solid or liquid into gaseous fuel without leaving any solid carbonaceous residue. This process is carried out in a gasifier. Gasifiers is an equipment which can gasify a variety of biomass such as wood waste, agricultural waste like stalks and roots of various crops, maize cobs, etc. A gasifier is essentially a chemical reactor where various complex physical and chemical processes take place. Biomass gets dried, heated, and pyrolyzed, partially oxidized and reduced as it flows through it. The gas produced in the gasifier is a clean, burning fuel having heating value of about 950 to 1200 kilocalories per meter cube. Hydrogen and carbon monoxide are the main constituents of the gas. The advantages of the gasifiers are it is very easy to operate, its maintenance is easy, it is sturdy in construction and reliable in operation. Why the gasification is the best alternative? A diverse range of routes are available for conversion of biomass to various forms of energy. However, among all these alternatives, gasification is the best suitable because of gasification offers high flexibility in terms of various biomass materials as the feedstock. Gasification has thermochemical conversion efficiencies in the range 70% to 90%, which is the highest among various alternatives. Gasification output capacity is controlled only by availability of adequate feed materials rather than other technical consideration. The area requirement for gasification equipment is lowest per unit output of energy in the form of heat and or electricity. Gasification outputs are suitable as fuel to all types of internal combustion engines with a capacity in the range of 15 to 30%. We can classify the biomass gasifiers. Uh, there are mainly three classifications. Gasifiers are vertical flow packed bed reactor through which oxygen or air for combustion is passed through it. It may be passed downward, upward, or across the bed. Depending on this, gasifiers can be classified into downdraft producer gas generators, updraft producer gas generators, crossdraft producer gas generators. Then by output power, gasifiers can be classified as small size gasifiers with the output up to 10 kilowatt, medium scale gasifiers with outputs in the range of 10 kilowatt to 50 kilowatt, larger size gasifiers with output in the range of 50 kilowatt to 300 kilowatt, very large gasifiers with the output of 300 kilowatt and above. Then, by gasifiers may also be classified as per the type of the bed, that is, fixed bed gasifiers and fluidized bed gasifiers. We are discuss here fixed bed gasifiers and the fluidized bed gasifiers. The fixed bed gasifiers are again classified into updraft or counter current gasifier, downdraft or co-current gasifier, cross-draft gasifiers. In updraft gasifiers, where the fuel and air moves in the counter current manner. In this, air enters below the combustion zone and the producer gas leaves near the top of the gasifier. The gas produced does not practically have ash but contains tar and water vapor because of passing of gas through the unburned fuel. This type of gasifiers is easy to be built and operated. These gasifiers are suitable for stationary engines which use tar-free fuels like charcoal. The downdraft gasifiers, where the fuel and air moves in the concurrent manner. In this, air enters at the combustion zone and the gas produced leaves near the bottom of the gasifier. In this, fuel is loaded in the reactor from the top. As the fuel moves down, it is subjected to drying at 120 degrees Celsius and pyrolyzed at 200 to 600 degrees Celsius, where solid tar, acetic acid, methanol, and water vapor are produced. Descending volatiles and the char reach the oxidation zone at 900 to 1200 degrees Celsius, where air is injected to complete the combustion. The, the products moving downwards enter the reduction zone, which is at 900 to 600 degrees Celsius, where the producer gas is formed by the action of CO2 and the water vapor on red hot charcoal. The producer gas contains products like carbon monoxide, hydrogen, and the methane. It is purified by passing it coolers. Tar is removed by condensation, whereas the gas produced contains less of tar and more of ash. These gasifiers are suitable for fuel like wood and agricultural waste. They may be used for power generation up to 150 kilowatt and beyond that there may be geometrical limitations upon gas quality. They are cheap and easy to make. These gasifiers are used for engine applications because of its ability to produce a relatively clean gas. Fixed bed gasifiers can attain efficiency up to 75% for conversion of solid biomass to gaseous fuel. The next one is cross-draft gasifiers. In this type of gasifiers, the gas produced passes upward in the annular space around the gasifier that is filled with a charcoal. The charcoal acts as an insulator and a dust filter. Air enters the cross-draft gasifier through a water-cooled nozzle mounted on one side of the firefox. The gas is produced in the horizontal zone in front of the nozzle and passes through a vertical grate into the hot gas port on the opposite side. Because of the short path length for the gasification reaction, these type of gas producers respond most rapidly for changes in gas production. However, the cross-draft gasifier is not commonly used. These gasifiers are suitable for power generation up to 50 kilowatt, however, do not find much application. The next type is the fluidized bed gasifiers. Is the most versatile and any biomass including sewage, sludge, pulping effluents, etc. can be classified by using this type of gasifiers. The performance of a fixed bed gasifier will depend on the fuel properties such as chemical analysis, volatile contains, calorific value, size distribution and as characterization. But a fluidized bed gasifier is most versatile and any biomass can be gasified using this type of gasifier. It provides a means of burning any combustible material from wet sewage with a high efficiency and with minimal pollution. At the heart of the fluidized bed combustor is a hotbed of inert particles which are held in suspension, fluidized by an upward current of air. The calorific value of the biomass is not a constant. It can also handle biomass of high ash content. Example, rice husk. Fluidized bed generally contains either inert material or reactive material. The bed material is kept in fluid state by the rising column of the gas. Normally, the operating temperature of the bed is maintained within the range of 750 to 950 degrees Celsius. In the fluidized bed, a large surface is created and the constantly changing area per unit volume provides a higher conversion efficiency at low operating temperatures compared to fixed beds. Low-grade fuels of even non-uniform size and high moisture content can be gasified by the high heating capacity of sand and uniform temperature of fluidized bed. To put the gasifier in use, the bed material is heated to ignition temperature of the fuel and biomass is then injected, causing rapid oxidation and gasification. The fuel gas thus obtained is conditioned and cleaned for utilization as an engine fuel. The advantages of fluidized bed gasifiers are high heat storage capacity, simple operation, compact size, consistent combustion rate, high output rate, quick startup, fuel flexibility, high moisture content fuel can be used, uniform temperature throughout the furnace volume, reduced emission of harmful nitrogen oxides. There are many applications for gasifiers. The small size gasifiers find applications in rural areas, especially for providing shaft line power to agricultural pumps, processing machinery and agricultural processing machines like straw choppers, etc. The medium sized gasifiers can easily meet the shaft line power requirements of various rural industries like sawmills, carpentry workshops, mechanical fabrication, as well as small mills. They can also find extensive applications as a decentralized source of electrical energy in milk chilling, primary health coverage centers, and for rural electrification. The large-size gasifiers can meet the shaft power requirements directly or indirectly of various industries like dairy, oil mill, mineral processing, brick manufacturing, ceramic and pottery industries, etc. These gasifiers can also be used in mining operations, forest-based wood processing units, well drilling, etc. These gasifiers can be used for total electrification of small and medium-sized villages. The other application is direct thermal applications. The primary application of direct heat gasifiers is to supply heat for cement manufacture, glass making, brick making, ceramic and pottery, rubber manufacture, food processing, brewing, crop drying, fertilizer production, and chemicals. The problems in development of gasifiers are fuel supply and cost. The fuel requirement for gasifiers vary from 1 to 1.3 kilograms per kilowatt depending on the feed properties like moisture content, calorific value, ash content, etc. and the conversion efficiencies of the system. The biomass materials, especially agricultural residue, are not available throughout the year and hence need to be transported and stored for continuous availability. In practice, this causes high cost of transportation and inventory cost to ensure continuous and ready availability of biomass feed materials. The cost of fuel supply is also important. Biomass resources may become costlier in future. The another problem is capital cost and economics. The capital cost as well as economics of not only gasifiers but also other competing systems can be highly location and application specific. Depending on the cost of present source of energy supply, various alternatives can become economically favorable or unfavorable. The next problem is safety. Producer gas is a low heating value gas which is poisonous and explosive. Hence, proper carbon monoxide metering arrangements as well as safety devices needed to be provided with the systems, especially when gasifiers are installed in buildings. The system also needs provision to divert the gas to stock in an emergency shutdown. The next problem is market barriers. The non-technologies and the conventional fuels can be cause problems for gasifier marketing. The potential users recognize the risk in the new technology that has been fully demonstrated to be significantly less expensive or more reliable. Hence, the gasification system suppliers must convince the potential users that the cost is worth it and there is no risk for operating a new technology. Thank you.